Listen and be open, but don't let anybody tell you who you are. Jeff Bezos. DZ Tribe, Josh Thomas. If you haven't already, check out thedozone.com for productivity tips, accountability, and a bunch of really cool ass people that are looking to get more stuff done. Once again, that's thedozone.com. Today's guest is Ky Logue. Ky is a real estate investor, entrepreneur, and the owner of We Buy Sad Houses. He broke out of a life filled with negativity and poverty and is on a mission to help others do the same. Kyle, welcome to the Do Zone. Say what's up to the tribe and tell us something you believe is the key to getting stuff done that most people wouldn't think of.
Hey, what's up, DZ Tribe? Thanks for having me, man. I'm definitely excited to be on here. Big fan of the podcast, and loved everything I've listened to so far, and excited to be here. But yeah, so as far as getting things done, for me, it's focus. But I know it sounds simple, but for me, I've always struggled with focus. So I've tried different hacks, different little things to do to really try to be as productive as I can. And yeah, so one of the things I do is I do what I call power blocking. A great book. It's by Jeb Blunt. It's called Fanatical Prospecting. And he talks about these basically 2-hour power blocks. And I'd usually only do them at an hour because I really struggle with focusing. But I'll have a set activity, whether it's maybe prospecting, which is the example he uses in the book, or marketing, or anything I want to do. And just in that hour, that's all I'll do. I blank everything out. I make sure I have no other tabs open. And that's all I'm doing for that hour. I also like music helps me. I do listen to like Baroque classical music, lo-fi, just instrumental. Anything that's like focused, study music helps me. Even like video game instrumentals. Those are like basically made so you can play the game or do whatever and still get stuff done. So stuff like that, yeah, really helps me. And then supplements too. I do take some L-theanine, a few other ones too, and then yeah, it's a bit of caffeine. I'm good to go.
Well, that's really cool that you mentioned about the music. And first of all, you definitely don't want to look at my Chrome browser because I've got way more tabs open than you.
Yeah.
So, but it's pretty cool you said about Baroque and classical music, and especially about the video game music. Like that music is designed to be working in the background and kind of keep you motivated to play the game, kind of as a way to keep you going. And I've never really thought about that before, but you're right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's helpful for me. I mean, like I said, any little thing I can do to be a little more focused or productive, I'm going to try it. So,
yeah, that's awesome, man. So tell me a little bit about you were homeless for a while, right? Or you grew up in some group homes. I mean, you have not had the path laid out and at your feet. You had to go and scrap for it. So maybe take me back to a moment where you were struggling with some of this stuff and you decided, all right, enough is enough, and you started to make a change.
yeah, really. So it's the change point happened. My whole life was pretty much shit as a kid. Really from like elementary school, like first, second grade, my first stepdad was a piece of shit. And I just would be grounded all the time. And then from there, just my life did not get any better. Bounced around a lot. I think I went to like 12 different high schools, was homeless as a kid, group homes, UV, even a stint in a children's mental hospital. That was a fucking nightmare. But yeah, so a bunch of stuff, and kind of was like at my wit's end. But I always had like big dreams and big goals, but I never really had anyone who believed in me. So it was tough. But when I met my now wife, shit changed. I mean, I was kind of at the end of my rope. I was coming off multiple suicide attempts. I was selling drugs, working at Wendy's, doing anything I could just to like get by to the next day. Stealing food to eat. Really just I was fucking done. And I met my wife at the time. Not at the time, she's my wife now. But I met my wife, and we were 18, and she was the first person to like believe in me. And that was just a game changer for me. Just have one person, like, oh no, like I believe these, like these things you say you want to do. I believe that. And that was really it. Just was that one person, and I wanted to prove to her that I was that person, and I wasn't all talk when everybody else said I was. So that was really how it started.
Sometimes just one person believing in you is all you need. Just
Right.
one person saying, hey, you are worth something, or you're worth something more than what you think you are. Just that one person can make a difference. Just make an impact on one person. And it's a great lesson that you can kind of flip around, because you had that one person who believed in you, and it changed your life.
Right.
And so how do you pay that forward, and you find one person that you can have an impact on, that you can believe in, and make sure that the world continues to be a place that we can live in.
Right. And that's really it. That's kind of my focus now. I want to hopefully share more of my story and open up. I've never really shared it before. And I'm hoping maybe I can just inspire one person. And yeah, I really strive to be a go-giver, really give and help any way I can, because I know what a difference that can make.
It's the craziest thing. I got a comment on a previous podcast episode. I'm trying to remember. I think it may have been with Chris Killy, who was one of, I think he was like episode 2 or something. And Chris and I were sitting there and talking about just do the next thing, do one thing at a time, and take away all of these distractions. And we were talking about delegating, productivity, and all these things. And I got a comment from somebody who listened to that episode and decided, you know what, these guys are making a lot of sense. And he had been struggling with this restaurant opening for months and months. There was just so much stuff to do, and it was overwhelming. He was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make this work. And then after listening to that podcast episode with Chris and I, he said, you know what, I took all the things that needed to happen, and I gave them a number, a 1 or a 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And everything that was a 2, I decided that I could do after the launch, and it wasn't essential to the launch. And we moved the launch up to, at the time he had said the launch was going to be next week instead of like months down the road. And that was one of the coolest things that I'd ever heard, that, me just shooting the shit with my friend on a podcast had an impact on somebody, to the point to where they're like, you know what, I'm going to take some action. I'm going to do this. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
You never know who you're going to affect, but you got to be out there making sure that you share everything that you know, and give every little nugget of knowledge that you have, because you never know who's going to pick up what.
Right. That's huge, man. I think in people that listen to podcasts like this and spend the time doing personal development, they're the ones who are going to take action and do stuff with stuff they hear, because they're looking for it. They're just not sitting being passive. So
I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit,
Ky.
Yeah. Have you had an instance where you were just out there being yourself, giving value, dropping knowledge bombs, and suddenly it had an impact on somebody? Has there ever been a moment like that where you didn't even realize that you were affecting somebody else in such a positive way?
Yeah, I actually have one moment a couple of weeks ago. Now it was, I had a flip house that we're doing over in Windcrest, which is in San Antonio. And one of the guys we had, the guy left it trashed, sold it to us, and it was a huge headache because it was like a hoarder and wasn't supposed to be left that way. So I had to hire a company to come clean it out. And the company did a great job, and they killed it. They got it all done in one day. It's like a 3,000 square foot property. I don't know how they did it in one day. I was super impressed. So I made sure I went out of my way and said, hey, I appreciate you guys. And at the end of the day, I made sure I shook all their hands and thanked everyone, because they did it. I just wanted to acknowledge and show them that. And one of the kids, and he's probably maybe a little younger than I am, and but he asked, he said, "Oh, is this your house?" I said, "Yeah, it is. I'm a real estate investor doing a fix and flip." And we're talking about, I could tell he knew a little bit about real estate, and knew a lot of terms, and said he's been looking for someone to help him and kind of show him the ropes. And I told him, hey, I'm not an expert by any means, but I'm definitely happy to help any way I can. And if you have any questions, just hit me up. And I gave him my Facebook, and we were messaging back and forth on Facebook, and he just saying, hey, thank you. I've asked like lots of people, and like nobody was willing to help me. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. I don't know why, but yeah, man, I'd love to help. And so I went back and forth, helped him a bit, and he actually ended up putting me on to like his whole. He said, he has a whole network of tradespeople, people that can do all the stuff to help me with the flip, and he connected me with them, and because that's what he does. And yeah, I said, gave me all these people that he trusted and vouched for. He actually helped me not hire the other person that was there, He didn't badmouth the guy, but he said, hey, no, I'd go with this person I trust with me, I've worked with. And so yeah, so he saved me a lot of time, money, and energy just off that. And, just by being willing to help him and, answer a few questions. So, but yeah, that's just first one that pops in mind. But, really just being a go-giver, it's crazy. It pays off. Not always the way you think it will. And I don't be a go-giver expecting something in return. But just being willing to give and being willing to help people, man, it's a better way to live for sure.
Absolutely. And there's two parts to the equation. You have to give everything that you have. And in order for it to really be effective, that other part of the equation of you can't expect anything back.
Mm-hmm.
You really, truly have to give, not expecting anything back.
Right.
I've been in so many situations where I see somebody that needs help. I'm having a conversation with a lady within the last couple of months, and she has a budding business, and it's flopping around and it's not doing as well as she wants it to, and she's real smart. And I said, well, hey, let me see what I can do to help. Send me some recordings of your sales calls and I'll critique them. Okay. She sent me a recording. I picked out 7, 8, 10. I spent 2 hours going through and just dissecting this call and sent back the feedback. And she's like, wow, okay. And then she applied this stuff and she went, I think, 6 for 6 on her next 6 sales calls.
Wow.
Closed 6 of them in a row. And she's like,
yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing. We should do business together. I'm like, yeah, we should.
It's awesome.
But,
yeah,
but I wasn't expecting that. I just this was a person that needed help. I could offer that help. I had the time and the interest. And it was something that was fascinating to me. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we found a way to turn that into future business. But I wasn't expecting that. Like she could have taken that and gone wherever. And I really truly felt that, like, if I had just never talked to her again, I knew that I had that impact.
Right.
But then we kind of came back around and it's like, all right, well, maybe we should do something a little more serious together. And like, cool. But if I'd expected that and I tried to go for it, I think that it wouldn't have happened.
Right. No, you're definitely right. But I think it does come back to the law of reciprocity too. So, it's going to come back to you some way, maybe not the way, immediate like payoff, but some way, you give enough, you got to be willing to receive because things will come back to you too.
That's right, man. So, and just one more question for you, just because you've kind of crawled up from the depths of a system that is built to kind of support us, but not really to push us forward,
Right.
with the, juvie and the group homes and, being homeless and all these things. You've got all of these support structures and people that are kind of designed to assist people with that. But did you get any assistance from that? And if not, where did you, aside from your wife, where were you able to just kind of grab on and get a leg up in a world that's basically built against you?
Yeah. So for me, I didn't really get any assistance. No. I feel like teachers, everyone really told me I was going to be shit. Really like, oh, you're a loser, you're getting in trouble. But well, they know I'm like, busting my ass just to get to school every day. But yeah, and really anyone else really didn't get any assistance, I'd say. I think those people are just people doing their jobs and they're not happy to be there anyways. But yeah, no, it's shitty. Yeah, feeling like no one's there to help you. But yeah, really when I got a leg up was when I found sales. Before that, like I said, talked to my wife. We had, she believed in me. I wanted to do big things. The only thing I knew at the time was if I wanted to be successful and get those things and be rich was, I had to sell more drugs, I have to step it up. That's the only thing I knew. The only people I saw making money. I didn't know about entrepreneurship or sales or anything. So yes, I started selling cocaine. And then, yeah, so a bunch of times I definitely could have got put away for a long time doing stupid shit. I was, 18-year-old kid, didn't know what I was doing. Looking back, it's like risky as fuck. I'm like, what are you doing? But it's the breaking point for me was we had the FBI come and knock on. I was homeless before. We were living at her mom's house. And the FBI comes banging on the door. And I have a lot of coke and guns in the house that aren't registered. And I'm like, fuck, I'm going away forever. And I'm just putting all these people in trouble that, believed in me and gave me a place to fucking live. Like, what am I doing? But they're actually looking for a business partner that I was working with that somehow, they raided his house. He was one of the big people, and then he got away from the cops. He hopped out of the police car after they had him in cuffs somehow. I don't know how he pulled that off, but
Houdini.
yeah, he had cuffs on too, and I know all the cops, everybody was pissed because it made them look like idiots. But yeah, so I think he said to roll the window down. Somehow got out the window, cuffs. But yeah, they came to the house looking for him. They didn't have a warrant or anything, didn't search. But I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, looking back, I'd still be in prison like for quite a long time. So that was like, I got to figure something else out, and I can't do this shit. Put these people in that position that are helping me. So what kind of asshole am I? And yeah, so then my buddy came over, we were having some drinks, and he's like, oh, I got this job in a call center. I'm like, oh, what's a call center? He's like, oh, like, we call people on the phone, and you sell them stuff. I'm like, oh, you're like, here's this script, I think you'd be good at
like
it.
Coke. Can we sell them Coke?
Yeah, right. No, they're like, oh, they're like penis pills and like e-cigarettes before e-cigarettes were things, and like hair loss shit, like really wild stuff up like the radio people would call in for.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm like, oh, this can't be a real job, dude. Like, he's like, oh yeah, and they pay you like, every time you sell something. I'm like, that's nuts. I'm like, that sounds cool. And this is like good. He's like, yeah. So super funny, the whole nother story getting the job, but ended up going up there, got the job, found sales, and it was the first thing I was ever good at. And I'm like, wow, I went in right off the bat, I was killing it. And everyone's like, oh, this guy's like something special. He's good at this. I'm like, oh, and then, yeah, I really just dove into sales from there. And that kind of changed my life and my trajectory.
Sales was the first thing you were ever good at.
It was, yeah, my whole life. Yeah.
Tell me more about that. It's like you're struggling, you're trying to find your place, and then all of a sudden selling penis pills, you found your calling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was yeah, I don't know. So that my buddy, that's kind of a cool story. So the buddy came over and he's like, oh, I already have you a job lined up. I'm the man there. Everybody likes me. Super cool. You're in. Don't worry about it. And there's like a 2-hour drive to the place. So we're reading the script. He's like, this is a script. You just got to read the script. I'm like, what's the script? It's this piece of paper, just what you're going to say to these people. So I read it and he's like, oh, that was awful. I think I was like, it sounded so bad. Like I was always been a good reader, but it just didn't sound natural or authentic. And he just basically coached me through it. We had a whole 30 pack of like the cheapest beer you could get. I think it was like Natty Ice. And that whole night we basically drank the whole thing and just kept practicing the script. And then that next day we drove 2 hours hungover, looking like shit. He tried to give me a haircut too, because I was looking like a bum at the time. And then he messed up my haircut. So I had to go in there bald. And then I wore a suit because my wife worked at Calvin Klein. And I had like this one nice suit. So I put this on and I get to the super sketchy call center. And I'm like super overdressed. I'm bald, super hungover.
This is like some boiler room shit.
Yeah, no, boiler room. Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's what he told. Like that was like my favorite movie growing up. I'm like, oh, this is a real thing. The boiler room's real. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, yes. I'm like, sign me up, dude. So yeah, we go and yeah. So well, I'm in the suit, super overdressed. And they're like, dude, like, what are you doing, Matt? Why did you bring Ky here? I told you we weren't hiring. I'm like, bro, like, what do you mean you guys aren't hiring? They're like, no, trust me, he's great. He's like, this guy, he taught me how to sell. Saying I taught him how to sell, which I didn't even know how to read a script until yesterday. He's like, he's the best salesperson I've ever seen. He was the manager at this other place, and just all these lies, just hyping me up, saying I've like done sales forever. And I'm like, dude, and we smoked weed too, like on the way up because we were hungover, and I'm just in my suit, bald, like high on my mind. I'm like, bro, like what is going on?
Hungover from the Natty Ice.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm like, okay. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, well, here it goes. And like, oh, look, he's like, just watch. Let him get on the phone. He's going to show you. And like, so the whole office is staring at me.
Hold my beer.
Yeah. Everyone's just staring. I'm like, get on the phone. And like, he's going to show you, how good he is. Don't believe me. Watch. And I'm like, fuck. Okay.
That's a lot of pressure, man.
Yeah, like everybody's watching me. I'm like high and paranoid. I'm like, okay. So I get on the call. I'm like, oh, it rings and one person calls in for whatever, the penis pill or quit smoking or some shit. I remember what the first one was, but I got the sale and I'm like, oh wow. I'm like, I sold them on all the upsells too. And I think I made like $3 or something. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Yeah. I'm like, I'm gonna be rich. And then it rings again, and I close the next one. I close like 3 of them in a row, and everyone's like, oh well. And like the HR lady ran down, like, who is this person? You can't be working here. Like he hasn't signed any paperwork. And he's closing his sale.
Also, he's high.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, but they're like, oh no, we're hiring him right now.
I'm pretty sure that suit is stolen.
Yeah, right. It was, but but yeah, it was. They hired me. They're like, oh yeah, you got a job. Come back tomorrow. I'm like, oh cool, but yeah, that was that. And then just
that's really a crazy story, man.
Yeah, I got a bunch of them, man.
You
My
need
whole
to
life's
lead
been
with that
crazy.
story, dude. That was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's that's amazing. So you go down to the boiler room, you have no experience, you're hungover from natty ice, and you're also high,
Like
and
super high. I
you're
could smoke like 2 months. So it was
super
a long
high,
ride. Yeah.
and your friend is basically just making up your resume
Hmm.
to get you on the phone, and you
Yeah.
started knocking down sales.
Yeah. I only worked at Wendy's before that. So yeah, I got like made $2 off a sale. I'm like, this is it. I'm going to be rich. Like, this is that whole $2, you know?
That's amazing, dude. That's a great story. And
Thanks, brother.
it's a good kind of segue into our do zone diagnostic, where we're just gonna kind of dive in and figure out how that brain works. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Just
Let's do it.
quick rapid fire. First thing that comes to mind. Number one, what's one thing that you do that keeps you focused on your goals?
Really just writing them down. So I make sure I try to write my goals down, and then I have them printed out. Let me see. I just keep them in front of me. So they make them important to me. So I have them in like a frame. I keep it here where I can read it, see it every day when I get into the office, and I review them before I go to bed.
Nice. Can you share one of them with us?
Yeah, so a lot of them are just yearly ones for this one. Yeah, but a big one for this year is to let's see. So I want to get my jujitsu blue belt, which I need to start training more to get
Okay.
that. But yeah, is that one. I want to take my wife to Greece. So I have one in different categories. So then, yeah, gratitude, just making sure I'm doing what I'm grateful for every day. And some of our activities. Big thing we want to do too is we want to start our nonprofit this year. We want to start a pit bull rescue ranch. So
Okay.
we recently rescued a pit bull and realized what a big issue that is, because a lot of them just get killed like as soon as they're brought to shelters. So
Mm.
we definitely want to do that. But yeah, and then group wise, we started a local like Connect and Network. It's called. It's like a local like networking event. So we want to build that to 50 members. And then for grind, I'm trying to do a million in personal net income this year.
Nice. That's awesome. And how do you get back on track, Kai, when you lose that focus?
Really for me, so like I kind of struggle with being super positive, and then I may talk to somebody who's like not, or I kind of get back into that abundance of scarcity. So whenever I start losing focus, for me, it's like I'll have to just make sure I'm actively feeding myself positivity. So wake up, make sure I read something positive, like the Dr. Or Pastor Joel Osteen. I like a lot of his books. I like there's like inspirational movies and stuff I'll watch, and I like a lot of like motivational speakers. It helped me a lot when I started my first business, like Eric Thomas or Ryan Stewman, or there's people I'll listen to. They're kind of have succeeded, who their voice resonates with me. Andy Frisella, Ed
Yeah.
Milet. I'll just listen to that positive stuff to kind of get me back on track.
Cool. And who is your support group, and how do they keep you accountable?
Yeah, so my support group's Apex. I recently joined Apex, which is a mastermind group we're both part of, and yeah, really just all the people in there. A lot of people reach out to me, like Brian, right, the other day just messaged me, like, hey, brother, hope you have a great day. How are things going? And then I have people that I do in Apex now that we do weekly accountability calls, just to kind of keep each other on track and make sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Awesome. Now, how do you approach a difficult project that you're not sure how to complete?
So yes, I just break it down. So I just try to do the math, and the math never lies. So I'll break it down in as small as activities I can, and then just know, hey, well, basically what I want to do is condense everything into a daily activity. So if I reverse engineered it from how long I think it's going to take, what it's going to take, quarterly, what's it going to take weekly, what's it going to take daily. So, and then I know what I have to be doing, and I can kind of check and make sure I'm on track to be getting there.
Yeah, well said. Last question. What's the number one pro tip you'd give to someone looking to get more stuff done in less time?
Those power blocks. Yeah. So just set up a time, block everything else out. If you're working from home, put a do not disturb sign on here, on your door, whatever you have to do, just make sure you shut everything on, put on some lo-fi music or whatever you like, and just stay focused, and, do as much as you can. You'll be surprised what you can get done in one little power block.
I love it. So tell me a little bit more about what is it that you're doing now. You mentioned you're a real estate investor. Tell me what that's like, and who do you serve, and how can people interact with you?
Yeah, so pretty much what we do is we do fix and flips. So, and we also do wholesaling. So we're always looking for deals, looking to buy properties. So if anyone that wants a cash offer on their house, I'd love to see if we can help them, or if not, point them in the right direction. I know a lot of great realtors too. But yeah, so really just looking for people that want to sell, and that's where we come in and where we can help.
Excellent. And how can somebody interact with you?
Yeah, so just my website, kylogue.com. So KYLOGUE.com. Connect on with me on there, follow me on social media, and I'd love to connect. And any way I can help give you value or help you, reach out. I'm here.
Are there any kind of regional preferences or restrictions on that, or just pretty much anybody that is listening to this podcast can reach out to you?
Yeah, anybody, anywhere. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, random dude in India that listened to my podcast, reach
I
out to
gotcha.
Ky.
I'm your guy.
He's your guy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Ky, this has been really great. I appreciate you sharing that story, and especially that, finding your superpower and that sales story. That was amazing, dude. Like, you got this. You should turn that into a book or a movie or something. I would watch it.
Thanks, man.
Cool. Yeah. So we're going to wrap from here. Thanks very much for Ky Logue for joining us. If you would like to learn a little bit more about what he does and connect with him directly, you can go to kylogue.com. That's KYLOGUE.com. We're going to wrap up. And if you're a busy entrepreneur looking to get to the next level, head over to thedozone.com for more productivity tips, tools, and strategies. You can also join our Facebook group of the same name. Until next time, remember, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. What are you going to do with yours?